After a year, U.S. President Joe Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping met on the sidelines of the APEC summit in San Francisco, California, and these are the key moments shared by the two leaders. U.S. President Joe Biden called Chinese President Xi Jinping a dictator, even after some pleasantries in their bilateral meeting on the sidelines of the APEC summit in San Francisco. In a solo press conference after the 4-hour talks, Biden said that he has not changed his view that the Chinese leader is effectively a dictator. China's foreign ministry said it strongly opposes the remarks. However, there is no response from the Chinese delegation, which is in the U.S. for the APEC summit.
Mr. President, after today, would you still refer to President Xi as a dictator? This is a term that you used earlier this year.
Well, look, he is. I mean, he's a dictator in the sense that he is the guy who runs a country that is a communist country that's based on a form of government totally different than ours.
At the meeting, the two leaders were on the same page on a multiple number of issues. The two agreed to open a presidential hotline to resume communications between their militaries and to work together to tackle the opioid crisis in America.
President Biden, what's your message?
I'm pleased to announce that after many years of being on hold, we are restarting cooperation between the United States and PRC on counter-narcotics. We're reassuming military-to-military contacts, direct contacts. As a lot of you press know, follow this, that's been cut off, and it's been very worrisome. That's how accidents happen, misunderstandings. So we're back to direct, open, clear, direct communications on a direct basis.
Moves to revive military communications grabbed headlines. China had suspended military communication after former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi visited Taiwan last year. U.S. and China's militaries have had a number of acrimonious exchanges over the past year. Officials say the two leaders also discussed the situation in Taiwan. Biden and Xi also agreed to get experts together over the risk of artificial intelligence, AI, as they pushed for just and fair competition on the trade and commerce front. Meanwhile, a video of U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has gone viral on the internet as he fixes his gaze on Joe Biden while seated next to him at their meeting with Xi. But why this stare? Well, Lisa Curtis is joining us. She's Senior Fellow and Director of the Indo-Pacific Security Program at the Center for New American Security, and she's joining us live from Seoul, South Korea. Lisa, great to see you. Why this stare by Antony Blinken? This has been the question circulating social media since the video came out.
Well, look, I can't tell you what the stare is about. What I can tell you is that the meeting overall seems to have gone pretty well and seems to have been quite productive, with the major announcements being what you mentioned, the action on fentanyl. China has agreed to, rein in export of precursors to fentanyl, which of course is very important for the U.S. given the opioid crisis. The reestablishment of military communications. This is something that was very much a strong demand from the U.S. side. And then the surprise announcement of the AI dialogue. And I think the question is, why is China putting on this charm offensive? Why are they, coming forward in this way to reduce tensions with the United States? And I think there are a couple reasons. I think number one, China would like to slow down the technology restrictions that the U.S. has been placing, such as the restrictions on high-end technology for semiconductors for China. This is something, China wants to slow down that process. And the second is China wants to maintain U.S. investment in China. Capital has been leaving China. And this is at a time when China faces other economic headwinds, slowing growth, youth unemployment, and the property sector, which is heavily indebted. So I think, these are the reasons that China is motivated to come to these agreements. But I think, all in all, the meeting seems to have gone quite well.
And what are your thoughts about China not living up to its promises and commitments in the past? Do you think assurances from Xi this time around can be taken at face value? We remember the issue with fentanyl before. Of course, their climate pledges never seem to exactly go through. And then, the issue of artificial intelligence, I mean, that's also something that's questionable that China would be willing to work with the United States on.
Well, I think that's right. These are words, and we'll have to watch for follow through, for actual action on these items. And let's face it, what we've seen from China recently is aggression against Taiwan and aggression in the South China Sea. What they have been doing to the Philippines in terms of maritime aggression and the actions that they've been taking there. So I think we have to remember and sort of, keep calm and watch and see whether China actually lives up to some of these commitments. And I think that the Biden administration has been trying to keep expectations in check. This wasn't about, any major breakthroughs. Nothing really has substantially changed. And even President Biden said, he started off by saying, we're competitors. That's just a fact. And the U.S. will continue to invest in building up its defenses and, technology and, staying ahead in the technology race. That hasn't changed. So I think that this is really about trying to calm the tensions, particularly before the U.S. goes into election campaign mode. I think, China probably is motivated to try to stay out of the U.S. election as an issue. And so this is really probably more of a tactical move on China's part. But the fact remains that the U.S. and China are fierce competitors, and the U.S. will continue to judge China by its actions, not just words.
Lisa Curtis, thank you so much for joining us on WION, and I look forward to speaking to you again very soon.
Thank you.